Okay, now we're going to look at review 2. So I'm going to share my screen with you for the second review that you're going to do, the review part 2. And so this is what this one is going to look like. Again, this one's 35 questions. Each one's a half a point each. This section is about inequalities. So remember, whenever you are solving inequalities, a couple things to remember is that the symbol in the middle tells you if the dot is open or closed. In this example, if it's just less than or if it's greater than, like this one is less than, but if it was less than or greater than, then it's going to be an open circle like you would see on this choice or on this choice. If it has the equal to symbol underneath it, like number 2 does, then that means that you are going to have a closed circle. Remember that the arrow, it has to be going the way that matches the numbers. So for example, number 2 says x is less than or equal to 5. So you'd want your arrow to be going towards the smaller numbers, okay, which would be either this one or this one, okay? So a couple things to just remember about inequalities. So then you're going to get into some of the solving inequalities. Remember, this is the same way as solving equations. You're trying to isolate this variable on this side. So if this one was x minus 3, I'm going to add 3 to get it over to the other side. Okay, trying to get that variable by itself, and then I can graph the solution. So that's what you're going to run into next on these few questions here. Let's see what else we have. That's a majority of questions, it looks like. Okay, then you're going to get into the ones that are multiplying or dividing. On this one, if you have x over 9, that's like having x divided by 9, so you'd multiply. Remember, though, if you multiply or divide by a negative number, it will flip the inequality symbol, like number 15. This one I would have to multiply by a negative 4. Anytime I multiply by a negative number, that's going to reverse my inequality. It's now going to become greater than or equal to instead of less than or equal to. Okay, so that's one thing to remember there. Whenever you get down here, you're going to see some more of that. This is another one where the inequality is going to change direction because you're dividing by negative 12. Okay, so just remember that little tidbit there. Okay, so then you're going to get into solving and finding what are some possible solutions. Okay, so you're going to solve this and then figure out which one of these fits the inequality that you have left. Okay, so you have to solve with distributive property and then see what you have as an option there. Okay. We're going to get into some multi-step inequalities, the variables that are on both sides. Again, trying to get the variables on the same side, preferably the left side. If you can see how the answers are written, that's all the answers are written, all the answer choices. So try to get all of your variables over on the left and isolate it, again, just like solving a regular equation. Okay, so then you're going to start seeing more of those solutions. You might run into some where there's all real numbers or no solution. Remember, that's if your variables drop out and what you're left with is not true, that is no solution. If what you're left with is true, that's all real numbers. Okay. Then you're going to get into graphing some lines. So remember, whenever we're graphing, if it's y equals mx plus b, on my slope is going to be 3 and my y-intercept is going to be negative 2. This is where I'm going to start. Okay, if this is a multiple choice graph, it should be pretty easy to tell which one you are looking for there. Okay. Talking a little bit about writing a function or writing a rule for this. Remember when we talked about continuous or discrete? We've actually had questions like this before. The continuous means that I could graph this and it would be going up and there would be no gaps in between. Discrete would be just a set number of points. They wouldn't be able to connect those. So for example, if I'm talking about a movie store selling DVDs, I can only buy 1 DVD or 2 DVDs or 3 DVDs. I can't buy 1.5 or 2 1/4 DVDs or anything like that. So that's an example of discrete. When you're talking about this one, talking about peanuts per pound, that is going to be a continuous graph because I can buy 1 pound, 1.5 pounds, 1 3/4 pounds, 2 pounds, stuff like that. So remember the difference between discrete and continuous. Okay. Then you're going to get down to the mapping one. Shouldn't have any issues with that. Just remember the x's, the x values are on the left side and the y values are on the right side. And these mappings are just showing me which number goes with the output. Okay, so hopefully that helps explain the second one. If you have any questions on that, just let me know.